Welcome to the Partners Podcast, where you get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to entrepreneurs who are relentlessly building real, profitable companies. Join us as we ask them the hard questions so you can take away the mindset, strategy, and tactics that launch them to success. Welcome to another episode of the Partners Podcast, joined today by Jenna Giesow. She is an absolute rock star when it comes to the real estate media space. She's the CEO of Vast Media, and she's also a partner coach and consultant here at Acre Partner. Jenna, nice to have you on the show. Excited to jump into it today with you. How did you get involved with Vast Media? How did it all start?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Vast was birthed out of Matt, my husband, coming home one day in 2017, going on 2018, with having the thought and the idea that he could create out of a camera and not being a photographer. We were not photographers. He didn't own a camera. He had just dove into the world of YouTube and was looking at what's a way to make reoccurring income. And it was really like, what if I could just make a side hustle for my family? And he dove into the world of videography first. He went all in and taught himself everything he knows via YouTube. And he went into real estate when he started looking at where's the market. Like he thought from like very business minded from day one. It wasn't like I enjoy taking pictures of people. I enjoy taking pictures of houses. It was where can I make reoccurring business and revenue? And he stumbled upon real estate. And he always said, if you can land a really good realtor, you're going to land repeat business. And if you can do it, provide a great product, they're always growing in their business too. So you become, an essential, to help them grow. So.
And I met you through Matt because Matt and I connected on the real estate photography group on Facebook. Yep. So it's cool how this all came full circle to now you and I working pretty close together.
Yeah.
How did you, what was it like when Matt was growing the agency, growing his business? Yeah. How did that transformation kind of as his wife, as his partner, look from the outside looking in? Because you saw a lot of the outcomes and the results, as well as the potential drawbacks of someone scaling and growing an agency. So what was it like for the first couple of years working, like seeing Matt grow the agency?
Exhausting, because I was looking at a one-man band and I really didn't know where it was headed. He found success, I would say, rather quickly within the market and space. And so we live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the Midwest or South, however you want to define us. And there really wasn't a market for videography in particular. There were real estate photographers here and there, but no one providing the quality that we provide. And so there was a huge opportunity. And so when Matt first started, he really started from doing a favor for a friend listing their house, but it came kind of right at the right time of him also doing his research of going into real estate media. And he did the friend's house. And when he did, he had no idea what would be on the other side of that. That said friend, their realtor represented at a major brokerage where we live. And the brokerage caught the video on social, called Matt the next week and said, who are you? What are you doing? How many of these can you handle? Like, I've got basically a brokerage partnership for you, which is so funny because we talk with people all the time about how to land a brokerage partnership. I'm going to tell you right now, Vast Media was basically made from a brokerage partnership. And from there, it blew up. And so watching him dive into it, just being a one-man band, Matt was doing everything in the beginning. He was the videographer. He was the photographer. Originally, it was so funny. He was even the editor at one point of photos, videos, anything that we outsource now or that we pay, a staff member or a team member to do, he's done it. Right. And he was also the accountant, and he was also the business operational development. He was everything. And at the time, I was working in a multi-million-dollar organization. I was an executive assistant to the owner, the leader. And so I saw a lot when it comes to growing a multi-million-dollar organization. I saw a lot about team and structure, a staff of over 100 to 200, multi sites within this organization. And so I just got to really, I mean, it's a blessing. I really got to sit in and see what it's like to like be an owner. Honestly, when you are an assistant at that level, you see what the work that goes in from someone who owns it. And I had no idea. I had no idea. Like we didn't plan this. No idea that one day we would also own something. And so at that time, I decided to step out of that role. It was a very, if you can imagine, just assisting the owner, very, very like heavy committed type of role and position for us. We wanted to start a family at some point. I just didn't see that quite probably lining up in the long run with that commitment. And I stepped out and went to go work for, at one point, in university in the interim time. And that was a lot of fun. I learned a lot with communications just at a university level. And then, which landed me into a job opportunity to work fully remote, to be a director of marketing for a national wedding company, which I learned the world of SEO and social media and management and just growing a marketing side of a division of a business that's very successful, multi-million-dollar business, handling lots of revenue, lots of ad spend, lots of dollars. And basically the buck stopped with me on where it went and what we put our ad spend into. And ultimately I was responsible for its success. And so I feel like I say all that because all of that, right? Like we look back and like we think of where we've been in our life, all of that led me to be primed, I feel like, to ultimately one day, about 2 years into Vast really thriving and growing, Matt looked at me and said, I don't think I want to do this. Like, I love being a one-man band. I actually love being just a photographer. I love creating. I love being a videographer. I see the potential for scaling and I see the potential for the business development side of this, but I just don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's for me. I think it's for you. And we made the decision for me to step in as managing CEO of Vast. And really because I started seeing all of the opportunities that Matt, I was like, hey, you need to lean into that. Hey, let's do this. Hey, I need your approval on this. Like I just kind of started inserting myself and he just kind of was like, stop asking me for permission. You already have permission. Just do it, And he was like, what do we need to do? Like, I'll step aside and you run with it. And I feel like the minute we made that decision, we saw our company 3x, which is insane. But I'm very futuristic. It's one of my, if you follow Strength Finders, the Gallup study, I'm futuristic is one of my top strengths. And so I can really see ahead, but at the same time, I carry responsibility as another strength of mine. And activator. And I feel like those three strengths together is just like so deadly when it comes to running a business. And though I don't have any background in business, I actually like came from nothing and grew up and with nothing really. I feel like I've always been a very like go-getter, activate, let's get it done. Like I can definitely walk into a room and read the room and assess what needs to happen. So
that's
that kind of led me into that.
Because I know, like, growing up from nothing, like, either it kind of breeds a scarcity mindset or it breeds, I think, a go-getter mindset. And you found more of a go-getter mindset from having nothing growing up. Did you always have that mindset or did you have to, like, work towards it? And then also being poor, did that scarcity mindset also hold you back at all? Like, I know, like, a lot of people in poor environments, like, their parents are like, oh, we can't afford that. No, totally. We can't do that. Yeah.
Totally. Like I definitely grew up in that environment. Money was always a struggle. And my parents were separated at a really young age. And I really didn't grow up with my dad either. So it was just a single mom. I'm an only child too. And so I feel like there was a switch in me, I think, with being an only and having a single mom that I really, at a really, really, really young age, I had to step back and think, like, is this it? Like, is this what I want life to be? Or am I going to like just do it myself? Honestly, am I just going to jump in and do it myself? And I think a lot of people look at me now, 32, running a multi-million dollar company, being very successful within this. I think a lot of people look at that and think like, man, Jenna's just naturally, like, she just does it. And I know it's a really sad reality, but like, I've been doing that for a very, very, very long time, even since like I was a kid. And so being able to be resourceful, honestly, we do that. If you're not a resourceful owner, it's going to be really hard, but being resourceful, being a go-getter, being an action taker,
What does it mean to be
carry,
resourceful to you?
yeah, I think just jumping in and finding the solution. Oftentimes I think a lot of people sit on the sidelines and they wait for a solution to come to them, especially in this day and age. And, with just having so much information, I think in this day and age, they think it's just going to like fall into their lap, or they're entitled to it, or they deserve it. For me, like if I would have waited for something to fall into my lap, I wouldn't have made it, honestly. I went on to be the first college grad in my family. I have a degree in English, which is a lot of fun. But went to Oklahoma State University. So I was the first person in my college to go to a 4-year university and do the college thing. And I, put myself through college, the whole thing. And so coming out of that, like that's, if like that is traced back to just like my upbringing and being very resourceful and activator minded in my business. So just to answer your question, to go back to that, the scarcity, I'm going to be honest with you, I have to combat that. And so that's really been something I've had to break as an owner and break in business, is to totally like lift that off my head, that like we have to hold on, like where there's not going to be enough. And that's challenging for any business owner. It's been especially challenging for me, not so much nowadays, but it really was in the early stages of seeing growth and development. I was really holding my chips close, just because, I had chips and I was excited about having chips. So to take those risks was going to be really big. And I couldn't, afford to lose them.
Yeah.
But
I think you and I have gone through the journey as well. Like in terms of growing an agency, sometimes there's like the opposite end of the spectrum where we get too aggressive with our growth and too ambitious with like what we're trying to do all at once. How do you balance between, the scarcity and abundance versus like being resourceful yet also like strict, I guess, with the budgeting side? How do you budget in a right way for how much your agency is growing now, and how's that evolved?
It's definitely evolved as we've grown, in revenue, of course, proportionally. It's evolved, of course, but I think just like how to balance that, how to have that strategy, right? How to not go blow it all and think you got to scale, but then also hold it close. I have really learned to be on the offense rather than the defense, right? And so like a lot of times in our businesses and the people we coach too, they react out of defense. They react because they're looking at a problem on the table, which like rightfully so. Like you and I have both been there. We've had to react out of something that just happened, and now we have to make a decision on it. And now we're kind of forced to decide, right? For me, I've made enough of those mistakes and decisions and been forced into those corners that I'm on the offense now. Consider me offense only. Like I don't want to play defense. I am on offense. And I feel like that's a lot of our jobs as owners. Like you are on the offense. It's your job to make a play and make sure that it is successful, and to not be on the defense and have to like deal with your like consequences. I feel like, that we put ourselves in. But I've been there, and it honestly came from just learning. It came from soaking up situations my mentors have been in. Honestly, you've always been a mentor as well. And just hearing like your mistakes and learning from your mistakes as too. And just people in the community, who have gone there and done it before you.
So I guess in what ways have you been offensive? Because that resonates with me a lot.
Yeah.
and I've been offensive to the point where it's cost me, and I had to be defensive as well. How do
Yeah.
you, like, when I hear offensive, I hear like not waiting around till the winter time to
Yep.
do something about like cash flow,
Yeah,
to
totally.
address proactively employees about, expectations on hours or
Yeah.
amount of work coming in,
Yeah.
to try to secure more retainers early into the year, and
Yeah.
have enough cash, reserves, and being able to not think about how, like, I don't think we can afford it, but how can we afford it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What do we need to do to afford another photographer? Or we need to land another brokerage, or we
Totally.
need to get this retainer in place before we make this hire. So how
Yeah.
have you been
Yeah.
offensive in the last year? And I guess
Yeah.
what are some of the strategies that agency owners can take away from that?
Yeah, so every year is different, right? Like every year, offense looks very different in our business. And by every year, I mean like year one of your business. Year two probably looks different. Three, four, five, six, seven, like your offensive plan is going to look very different. For me, within the past year, so Vast has been a business now almost, it'll be 6 years this year. And so my year five offensive plan looked very different than year one, right? It looked very different than year two. For year five, I kind of goes back to like I've made the decisions, I've seen consequences, I've known how to do it right, I've known how to do it wrong. And so for year five, I went in knowing I need to know my numbers front to back, side to side. I need to not just make more money and get more business and let that be a very blanket statement, but I need to identify what that means, like tangibly. So when you say get more money, make more revenue, like what is that? What, like you said, is it more retainers? Is it new products? Is it increasing your average order value? Is it hiring more team members so you can handle more volume, And so identifying where is our business in year five going on year six, as of right now, not someone business is next to me, but like mine. Where's mine at in my market with what I've been given and what I'm currently facing in my clientele, and also the market. Like, what's the market like for me? I'm going to be honest with you. I live in a housing bubble. My market really hasn't been really impacted a ton. When it comes to, like we're not getting orders, we're not getting listings, we're seeing a really decrease. I live in the Midwest South, a large chunk of my market are builders. There's so much land where I live. They're always building houses. And so I'm very happy about that. I'm comfortable in that. I think we really rely on that as a very unique aspect of our market. But I know that about my market. And so guess what? Guess where my attention is in year five, year six? My builders, right? What services and what products do we have that are custom for our builders, and how are we servicing them? Maybe over a real estate agent. I mean, it just is what it is. Like, they're a large chunk of our audience. And so that's just like one example. I know my market. What products, packages do we have in particular to that market? I think another thing too, retainers, they're a big one for me. And I learned this concept from you a few years ago. And it really blew my mind the first time I was able to like secure it, because I just didn't, think I would ever send an invoice that large that I used to actually make in 1 year. Like I've been on the other side of that. I've sent multiple invoices that are 35,000 and up at this point, in one transaction. Like, you're talking, that's insane to me. Like, I would never have guessed that 5-10 years ago that I would ever be to that point. But I feel like I had a really good foundation laid and set up for success on that. Just learning that from you, that I was able to start knocking it out. And I was just coaching someone last week in our Acre community, and I said, let me challenge you at this, because he was struggling with retainers and how do you land it and secure it, and what's your goal? I said, let me challenge you with this concept. In our business as owners, let's just say this: we are fundraisers. You are always fundraising for this business. The work may come in, and that's great, but that's just cash flow, baby, to keep the lights on. But to get to a next level, you are honestly like always fundraising to raise money for said cause, right? For us, it's in our for-profit business. We're raising money to increase our capital, so that we have capital, to be able to make those big play decisions to take us to another level. And so I told him, I said, let me challenge you with this. It's the beginning of 2024. What if you could take 2023, total up all your overhead, total up all of your payroll, total up all your expenses. What's that number? What if you could fundraise that by May? It's a challenge, right? What if you could already lock up all of your overhead that you're going to have for the year? And so the remainder of the year is just gravy. It's just gravy. What if you could lock it up and you have those retained that you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine going in October, November, December, because you've already raised retaining income, And so I caught that concept early on. And it's been huge for my business. We've been very successful with that. But I won't say that's not easy. That's easy. It's a lot of responsibility that you're handling lots of dollars with one account, one client. It's very important to continue to make them happy and to continue to serve them with excellence, not just they paid you one time and, all right, that's awesome. All right, see you next time when it's time to refill. It's actually the pressure's on. They've already paid you. So you better be on, you know what I mean? With the quality and the excellence. But that's just to answer that question of just knowing, how to prep for your year and what's coming. For us, we know what's coming. Usually just because we have 5 years of trends, 5 years of being able to look back year over year and what happened on this day last year, what happened on this day 2 years ago, what did we see next week 3 years ago, and how can we basically forecast and analyze what's to come to be on the offense, right? So.
Yeah, awesome. And when it comes to challenges that you face in this path, how long have you been CEO for?
Oh, it's probably been almost I feel like 2.5 years.
Yeah. What are some of the shifts or what are the challenges that you face that you've had to shift to overcome? Like the other agency owners that might be in a business partnership like you and Matt. That are growing to their first, 6-figure months or starting to hit 40, 50, 60K and have a small team. What are some of the things that you faced along the way? I know a lot of agency owners, they face finding the right staff, photographers that stick around. They have challenges with systems and scaling that and then also I think staff is a huge one, obviously, because you can't get to 1 million without the right staff in place.
Yep.
So what are some of these challenges as you grew, coming into the role with you and Matt to now beyond that with a team that can handle in the realm of 7 figures?
Yeah, a handful of challenges. One, let's just call it for what it is. Matt and I are married. And so running a business with your spouse, and it is a family own business, let's call it for what it is. So we work together, we live together, we sleep together. I mean, we're married, right? And it's crazy. And I feel like that has been one of our biggest challenges. And I'll say well, that's you and Matt's challenge and that's you and Matt's choice. But it actually pours into our team. It pours into our business too. And so it really has kind of affected, the overall temperature of how we lead ourselves, how we interact with ourselves, how we handle difficulties in private and not, in a team meeting. We've been there and that gets wild and they're like, what? Mom and dad are fighting, And so how do we do that very well? And so that's always been a challenge. We're better than ever right now. We're as healthy as we've ever been. I'm so thankful when it comes to leading and growing a business. I really think that's come with Matt knowing his role, me knowing my role, knowing what we both bring to the table. I'm really, really thankful for a husband who has given me, he's never once doubted any sort of my ability just because I'm a woman, just because I'm young, just because of, I may have never done it before or, whatever. He's never even that's never crossed. He's just always trusted me and has said go, you're made for this. Come on, let's do it. And he's always, really encouraged me along the way. So, and vice versa. Awesome. We know that. And we know our places in that. Additionally, on top of that, just another challenge is growing a team. finding your people to run alongside with you. I think a lot of us have this dream that we'll find people that will love our business as much as we love our business. And yeah, you laugh because it's
Yeah.
just, at the end of the day, it's not their business though. That's the thing. That's the thing. And so I think a lot of times early on, owners, they can get caught in that and they can get really frustrated. And I have to stop a lot of people we coach that are very young in their journey and be like, why are you frustrated? Of course they don't care about that at 10 o'clock at night like you do. They don't own the business. What skin in the game do they have? They make their salary, they make their paycheck, they've already done their work for the day. And so helping find, I think, a team that, number one, I hold with open hands. Like I've always said in the very early on, like I got really, really bitter when people started leaving me because I've been in as business as long as you have at this point. Like people have left us. Like that hurts, that stinks. People know a lot about our business and the inside, the works, the outs. They've seen it at our worst, they've seen us at our best, and they've come and gone, right? And we're still here because we own it.
Yeah.
And so how do you grow a team to be happy, healthy, but also like when it's your time to go, like I hold you with open hands and I'll let you, fly the nest and fly away. But while you're with me, we're going to make this amazing, and you're going to grow and you are going to learn. But I think a lot of us come at it like, okay, you're with me forever, and that's where it kind of gets dangerous for us, because we put way too much on them. We think way too much of them, and then just improper, expectations are unaligned. But, finding the people that care about your business and carry it with a sense of pride, a sense of ownership mentality when they are on. I'll say that, right? Like when they are on, that's what I expect, like for them to carry that honor, for them to carry the responsibility, for them to carry it like I would, because ultimately everyone we've hired has come from a position that we've once done. Let's just call it for what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so since I'm extracting that out of myself, I want them to carry those qualities that I once did the position with, and even more. I want them to be better at it than I was, So yeah, just developing that team. It's always a challenge. People come, people go. I've hired friends. I've hired people I didn't know. I've seen it all on when it comes to hiring side of it. And it has been a roller coaster. I'll say that.
Is hiring friends something that you advise? And I guess that's something that a lot of agency owners, when I first hear about their first hire, they're like, yeah, some guy I know, they work at a dealership and do this, and they're excited about my business. And, I'm thinking about having them, making them my partner, and they tell me that they can help me sell. And I'm like, have they helped you sell any clients yet? And then it's just like everyone dreams up like taking over the world with their best friend, right? But like there's a lot of work, there's a lot of expectations to be set. So how do you go about hiring a friend? Or like for me personally, I remember at one point I hired so many friends that did not work out, that there was like a part of the hiring process, if they were Brendan's friend, was they would have to go through a more strict interview, and then they were like vetted harder, and they were looked at with like a microscope right away. Like, is this person legit?
I feel like I'm probably to that point as well. Like I do have some friends that work in my business, and I will say this: the ones that currently work in my business, they really like respect the work we've put in to build this, and they know it's like, this is an opportunity, right? Like this is like how special it is, to be able to not just work with your friends, but like, to grow something out of nothing. Like they're that entrepreneur side of a person that just should like light a flame in someone. And so I will say this: some of the best hires as friends are also entrepreneurs in their own way. They have their own sort of, maybe business on the side, or they've been in business at some capacity to where they get it, they get it. But it is challenging. I've seen it go all different ways. And so, it can be really challenging with the friend side of it.
Yeah. It makes sense because I've had some friends that, Colby's was my friend
Yeah.
before he
Right.
became my business partner.
Right.
But even then, there was tension after a couple years living together, working together every day.
Right.
Lifestyles change, expectations change, in terms of like what people want and what people want to give into the business,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what they're expecting in return for the work that they have given. And so
Totally.
that's definitely a tricky thing to balance, especially
Yeah.
if you're working with a close friend.
Yeah.
And I know you can relate because Matt's your husband and business partner. So
It's true. He's also a
let's do a
bestie,
speed
you know?
round, though.
Yeah.
Let's do a speed round. Answer in less than 20 seconds each one.
Okay.
What's the biggest client or deal that you've landed and how?
42K, an annual retainer.
Awesome. What was the craziest employee, I guess, situation that you had to handle? You don't have to drop names, but like anecdotally, like what did you have to go through with any sort of team members that kind of drove you nuts?
Yeah. I had a member of my team at one point in my business that was just kind of needy. I know this is 20 seconds or less, but just kind of needy overall. Basically, through like a series of like him going to like counseling and stuff, he told me that his therapist was requiring him to go down to a 4-day work week. And I was going to have to like bend to that and adhere to that. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, that's really strange because that's not how our business works, you know? And so I was faced to like, what do we do here? Like, he's like, I'm not made to work 5 days was what he said. So
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah.
What about the craziest client? That like what was that like? What did you have to deal with?
Oh my gosh, there's so many that we've dealt with,
One
honestly.
one that's really memorable that just is like that one. I'll tell you one maybe to inspire you.
Yeah, tell
I
me.
had this client who he was a great client, spent a lot of money with us, referred us a few clients, and then he moved and then he stopped using us.
Okay.
And I found out that there was like 3 unpaid invoices, just because our
Yeah.
records show everything. And
Yeah.
then I contacted him and he says, no, I'm not paying you. I've sent you a lot of referrals. Like, I think you guys have a accounting error. And I'm like,
Oh,
hey, we don't, because our
yeah.
system's like literally automated, like linked
Right.
with Square. This is like,
Right.
if you paid, it shows you paid. And
Yeah.
then he literally ghosted me. He threatened like to, like hire a lawyer to like fight me if I were to talk badly of him, in public. I was just like, hey, I might leave a bad review if you can't like just take care of these invoices or respond to me. And then it got to the point where I was like, this motherfucker, I'm gonna slash his tires,
Oh my
Well, I didn't.
God.
I was like, I
I
literally
get
gonna
it.
fly to this city because
Yeah.
he was so I don't know the way he presented himself, like, oh, I sent you referrals, so obviously,
Yeah.
like, like just write it off or like whatever. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, dude, like it's $3,000. Even if we
Yeah.
gave you like a cut of the referrals, that
Yeah.
still barely would cover that.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, I told one of my photography colleagues that owned another agency, and he ran his mouth in public about
Oh
him
no.
when he saw the dude made a post, and then he ended up calling me saying, "Hey, I checked my accounting. It looks like I didn't pay those invoices. Let me take care of those today."
Oh my
And I was still
gosh.
nice to him. I waived all the late fees, but it's just like,
Oh, that was nice
just
to you.
like you made $50,000 easy on a lot of these
These listings.
transactions that I'm
Totally.
charging you $1,000
Right.
for, like all the
Right.
marketing.
Right.
Like, dude, I'm running a pretty slim margin business here. Can you just
Yes.
take care of
Can you
your
take care of
bills?
this? You've made your
Yeah,
money. Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
For sure. We've had a lot of situations like that with like invoices and people, just thinking up something in their head like, I've given you referrals, I don't need to pay the, just stuff like that. I'll say the create one of the craziest things, just to answer your question, we've run into, just this jumps out on my mind. We we went to go shoot a listing one time, and we could tell that like the agent just provided a code and just said like, here's the address, right? Just book the order. Here's the code. And walked in, and you could tell that the house was like abandoned. And so that was already kind of like funny for the photographer. Like, oh no, I can tell like this is not right. Walks into the kitchen. There's like a full like crack or like setup going on
Oh
in
my,
the
like
kitchen.
a meth house? Like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
cooking up some crack?
And there's people, squatters inside the house. And so all the windows had been busted, you know, and there's an entrance into the basement of where people can get in. And so here we are just stumbling upon all this. No one else has seen this. The agent had never even been there, just booked
Wow.
us to go shoot it. And so anyways, that's crazy. So now we're like responsible for all this information and like reporting this and like leaving immediately. There's people inside the house, you know, so
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a line item, hazardous
Yes,
condition.
that's what I'm saying. Like hazardous for sure, you know?
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
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 Because crackheads and meth heads can get pretty crazy.
I mean, insane, you know, but we see a lot. Like you gotta imagine, like we're inside people's homes. Isn't that crazy? Do you ever think about
Yeah.
that of like how it is kind of hazardous, you know? You never know
Yeah,
what you're gonna see or find.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had, I'm sure, several dozen hoarder situations where we come in
Yeah.
and it's like we don't even have room to photograph. There's stuff
What do you want
everywhere.
us to take pictures of?
Yeah,
Yeah. They're
like
like, can you
we got,
Photoshop this?
yeah, like not when the cardboard box is right in front of the
Yes.
camera.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I wouldn't
Yeah,
be able to do that. No.
that's funny. All
Yeah.
right. Well, how about the best like feeling ever at your agency? What's the best feeling that you've had?
Man, one of the best feelings I feel like I get is when my staff is happy when they're winning. I know that sounds really cheesy, but when my team is happy and all is well and harmony and my clients are happy, it's like a happiness equation. I love when people are happy. I do not love when someone's raising stinks, concerns, you know, they're uncomfy, we need to talk about things. Like that makes I'm a thinker. I'm an overthinker too. And so I will literally just go try and solve it. And I'll try to like fix the problem. Really, I talked about that. I'm an activator. And so sometimes that can be really, really set me off. So it just makes me so happy when things work in harmony and everyone is happy. You know, the business is doing well, bills are paid, payrolls, you know, a breeze. The business is also profitable. Like, you know, like that's what makes me happy. I love that. I love winning in
Yeah,
that capacity.
I love that as well. Takes a good amount of effort to get all the pieces in place, and
It
you
does.
just cross your fingers like, hopefully nothing changes tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
And it
all of a
does.
sudden,
And that's what's crazy about owning a
yeah,
business.
yeah. Then one of your clients that you thought you were super good with is
Yeah.
starting to bitch you out, and you're like,
Yes.
where did this come from? And then
What
an
happened?
employee's like, hey, I'm moving to another
Yeah.
state, and you're like,
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna be here forever.
I thought I just gave you like a raise. What?
Yeah,
You're unhappy? No, I'm not unhappy. I'm just moving now. Oh, okay.
yeah.
Awesome. You know,
Well, that's definitely the challenges of running an agency. What about like what are the three pros of running an like being a CEO, being a business owner,
yeah.
putting in all this effort? What are the three biggest benefits that you believe as an agency owner, and why it's worth it to work your ass off to get to
Yeah.
that 7-figure mark?
Yeah. You know, I think it's every entrepreneur's dream to wake up and manage their own schedule. They're in control of their own day. I love that. I love that. I've always loved that in every job I've ever worked. I've been very like, you know, excel and crush it and like be prepped for a promotion, you know. But the cool thing about being an entrepreneur is that this like you are your own ceiling. No one else is looking at me saying like, "Hey, I've got a promotion for you," right? No one else is like, "I'm prepping you for your next season." Like as an entrepreneur, we're just naturally wired to like think in the future and know like what's next. And so I feel like that's such um a pro about owning your own business is that you get that permission to sky's the limit. Second, you get to make your own schedule. I love that. It's actually works really well for me. I work on the go. I work from my phone. I'll work running. Like, I don't even know how I've mastered that, but I will literally be speaking or typing something while I'm running, and which is insane. And so I have learned to work as I go with my lifestyle, which is really great. And then, I guess third, just I really love having a team and being able to like bring people into building this organization with me, and seeing people, like I've got people on my team that they've never made the type of money they make right now, and they're like so grateful. And, I've got people on my team that are like, wow, I get paid to work with a camera. This is awesome, and I love that. I love, I'm a mom, so I'm a little protector. I'm a little nurturer, and I do have that in me with also being a CEO, which is also very kind of rare, I feel like. But I love seeing people super happy within that, and that just growing the team in itself. Like, I love seeing families on the other side of it that are like a part of this with us, and they're
awesome.
winning.
Yeah. And you mentioned your mom, and that I think is that's a big topic in itself. I guess let's do another quick speed round in less than 2 minutes. How do you
Let's do
juggle
it.
being a mom and a CEO and all the other things that you're responsible for?
I am definitely a very humble person, but I will say this to anyone. I am a professional time manager. Like, I know how to manage my time really, really, really well. And I'm a very, very motivated person. I don't know how I would do it without being that. Like, I just really don't know how I do it. But I'm very, very, very intentional with my time and how I build my calendar in my life.
Yeah. How is it that you do that? That's like allowed you to take upon so many different
Yeah.
ventures. I've heard being a mom is a full-time job, but you have
Yeah.
2 kids,
Yeah.
right? So it's like there's a double whammy there, and you're managing multiple people, and you're also coaching a few other agency
Yeah.
owners as of right now as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
how do you manage that? Like when you
So it's
say
a
professional
happy
time
marriage,
manager?
I will say, of being really great at time management, but also having really great support. So like I'm obviously I'm a full time mom with 2 kids, but like I have a husband that is very, very supportive. Like right now he has our youngest, and so this is a partnership with us together. So we definitely co-parent, which is truly, it is amazing. Like it is just a natural thing for him to do this with me. And so that's super helpful to have in place. But aside from that, I will say this: wherever you are, be all in. And so that's kind of my commitment. Whatever I have on my calendar at that moment and that time that I've blocked and I've allocated for, I'm 110%. Whether it's me in the gym in the morning, I'm going to go 110. That's my only time to be in the gym, right? So I need to give it my all. Whether it's family time with my kids, I mean, you've reached out to me before, and what have I said? Hey, I'm with the kids. I will look at this, and but giving yourself permission and like speak up, like if that's what you're doing. But guess what? When I'm working, I'm 110%. And I know that about me. I do not half-ass. Like I do not, you can't half-ass and not get me here, And so I go 110 with whatever is on my calendar, what I'm focused on at that moment. But give yourself the permission to not feel so like pulled in like 17 different directions. That really helps me just know like I'm going all in with what's in front of me right now.
I love that. And we'll end it on one more question around your next new venture, right?
Yeah.
You're joining Acre Partner as a coach, as a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
This has been fairly new for you in the last year.
Yeah.
Why did you choose, or why are you pursuing more coaching and consulting? I know you and I have talked about getting more serious about helping more agency owners.
Yeah.
Why not, more vast? Why not more something else?
Yeah, for sure. I will say this. So I have a degree in English. It's in English education. So naturally, like I'm a certified teacher. That's what I did straight out of college. I was a teacher. And I love the classroom. I love learning. I love curriculum. I'm naturally, that's like my spot. So when it comes to owning a business and be having the opportunity to teach new business owners or seasoned business owners that just need to make some pivots, right? That's, I mean, game over. Like that's the sweet spot, right? And so I love that. I love consulting. I love teaching, getting in the weeds with them, breaking down, hey, we need to consider this. Hey, I'm going to advise you to do this, but knowing, like also being aware of like, this is where I'm really skilled in. This is where I'm not skilled in. This is like, it all kind of, comes into play with that. So
Yeah, absolutely. And then with the agency owners that are, like stuck, or
yeah,
they're considering potentially working with a consultant or
yeah.
coach, how can they see more success? Like, what type of qualities and how should they prep themselves to be able to get to that next level in their agency? Like, what
Yeah.
what does it take to be successful as an agency owner looking to continue growing and also
Yeah.
being able to receive help?
Yeah. I mean, I think I think it's a little bit of self-awareness. It's a good equation of like yourself. Are you self-aware enough of where your current state is at, in the business? I talk to a lot of agency owners where they're like, we're doing really well, we're crushing it. And I'm like, that's awesome. What's your volume look like? And they're like, we had 2 appointments today. That's, and I'm like, okay, let's take some lids off. Like what, like, you know what I mean? Like what, let's challenge, let's go to the next. And so being a little like self-aware of what the next is, I think is super important for agency owners. And also take the lid off it. Don't put yourself inside a box. Like don't, I think a lot of us, like we have this box of what success and arriving is going to look like. But for me, it took sitting underneath mentors' wings. It took devouring podcasts. It took devouring content to make myself better and to be super self-aware of like, shoot, I am actually nowhere near where I want to be. I feel very successful. This is awesome that Vast is doing great, and growing and business is coming, but I'm actually like, I need to be a little bit more self-aware and do better in these spots. And so I think it's just, as every agency owner is growing, really be aware and do some checks with yourself like regularly. How am I doing? Where do I need to grow in? What do I actually need to like admit that I'm not the greatest at? And how do I need to get help in that to be
Yeah,
great overall for long term in the business?
for sure. Yeah, I see a lot of agency owners, suffer from complacency,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't even call them agency owners, because any true agency owner, I think, is looking to grow, because
Yeah.
the word agency itself is like, it's not just you, right? You're
Totally.
representing multiple people. You're connecting clients with a solution, and the solution, can't just be you,
Yeah.
because you have sick days, you want to go on vacation. Do you have a team in place? Do you have actual an actual business that can
Right.
take care of projects when you're not around? I think
Yeah.
that's what growing an agency is about. And so it really it's it's disappointing that some people don't have that vision, right, of wanting to get bigger. Do you have a message for those who, like you said, like, you want to challenge people, right?
Yeah.
How do you, is it possible to challenge someone who's just comfortable and who's just like, no, I'm good, like I'm happy where I'm at, and what questions do you have for them? How do you like kind of get them out of their comfort zone?
Yeah, totally. I usually ask them, where do you want to be a year from now? Where do you want to be for a year from now? And are you happy with where you're at today? So basically I try to put in perspective, if a year goes by and 365 days just happen and you're still at the same spot you're in right now, are you happy with that? And that really gets them kind of thinking like, no, like here's really where, I want to be. And here's where I know I need to. I'm like, okay, cool. What about 5? What about 10? What about 20? What does that look like? And I try to also challenge in a way of like, not just your business, but also like your person as a whole. And I'm very big on that. You know that when it comes to like coaching our agency owners. But where do you want to be a year from now, physically, mentally, socially, relationally? Like not just in business, because I know I've lived it, and I know you have as well. When these areas of our lives as owners that carry a lot are doing really well, we are so much more effective as business owners just organically. And I try to also kind of challenge on that, just kind of lifting the lid off, because it really does help us with that entrepreneur mind just to be healthy overall as the whole person.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's usually where I start to, and I start to talk about every aspect of their life.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And I think that's something that I've learned in the process of growing Aerial Canvas, coaching several dozen agency owners at Acre Partner, and working on several other business ventures, is that it is absolutely worth the endeavor.
Yeah.
Like there's this one saying that I loved, I saw recently online was, why not become a millionaire
Yeah.
for the person that you may become in the process,
Totally.
right?
Totally.
You can say if it's not about the money, but I can promise you, if you grow your agency to $1 million a year, you will be a better leader. You will be a better friend. You will be a better father, brother, husband, sister, whatever you want to be a better person around, because being a great business leader translates to all aspects of your life, like leading yourself when it comes to fitness, leading yourself when it comes to spirituality. And that's, I think, is the most beautiful part about the journey, is understanding that the journey and the challenge itself is worthwhile because of the in like intangible and just insane amount of benefits that it has in every other aspect of your life when you choose to want to grow and choose to want to create a surplus and be in abundance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you and I have lived that too. You know what I mean? We don't just say that. Like we've seen it. We've
Yeah.
actually like we
I think
live
you
it every
said you've
day.
gone to the gym almost every single day, right? Or
Every
every day
day.
since the start of the year.
Yeah, since
Yeah.
starting year. And really since October of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on a nice streak. I'm 13 out of 14 days
Let's
so far.
go.
So
I bet you feel good.
I feel great. And, you know, it's there's levels to life that's worth achieving, right? Being stuck at the same level year over year, like whatever level that is, it gets boring. At least for
Right.
me, I don't want to be stuck at like the same place doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, living the same reality where I can only go on vacation 2 weeks in a year. I want more. I want to create more. I want to help people achieve more as well. So I
Yeah.
love that. I love that you were able to share that. Well, thanks again, Jenna, for being part of this. Excited for you to continue helping grow our community of ambitious agency owners that are looking to just get more from life, because life has so much to offer. And it's not about the money. It's about all the things that come with the growth of being a leader that can do so much for you can serve more clients, you can serve your family better, you can serve your team better, and create more opportunities for them to grow. And I think to not want to grow is extremely selfish, both of the person that's not wanting to grow and how they choose to interact with the world. It's just like you don't want to be your best version. You just want to be the same person
Absolutely.
every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and thank you for having me. It's always such an honor and just a privilege to do business together, work together, know each other. I know we've been on this journey for a minute now, so as always, it's an honor.
Awesome. We'll talk soon.
All
Thanks.
right, thanks.